if we talk a little bit more about King Charles, because of course we're seeing him at COP28, but there's a little bit of another story going on. That's an understatement, isn't it? Which has perhaps overshadowed King Charles's trip to Dubai, because the royal family is apparently considering legal action after media outlets, a number of them now, named the royal, twosome duo, alleged to have said some...
Yeah, so, I mean, the Dutch copies appear to suggest that the King and the Princess of Wales took part in conversations about the skin tone of Prince Archie before he was born. But I think the bigger issue, really, is the fact that how were those names in the Dutch version, but not in the British version? Originally, the publisher said it was a translation issue. And then, of course, they're only saying that it was an error. And the Mail yesterday ran the story that the woman who actually translated the text from the English manuscript into Dutch said that those names were in the manuscript. So
the names of King Charles and Princess of Wales?
Yes.
Now, I don't know about you, but I think there's more holes in this than a colander. Let's talk to Michael Cole, see what he reckons. Michael Cole, former BBC royal correspondent. What do you think?
Good morning, Pip. Good morning to you both. The King, of course, doing his thing. We just saw him. You kindly showed us part of his speech. And, of course, he went on his private plane. At least he didn't take his Bentley with him, as he used to do in the old days when people were less sensitive about issues of the environment, climate change. But to get back to your very perceptive question, the thing is, in this country, the law is administered in the name of the monarch. It's R versus Smith or R versus Cole or whoever the defendant is, Rex against the defendant. And I think it's inconceivable that His Majesty could go into one of the royal courts of justice and sue for libel or anything else in a case argued by King's Counsel before one of His Majesty's justices. It would be very, very difficult. And I can never think any member of the royal family suing for libel. It's always been their mantra: never complain, never explain. There we see the book, this volume at the centre of it. And here we see the two people who indeed are not mentioned in unfavourable terms. Every other single member of the royal family seems to be castigated to a great extreme extent, including Prince William and his wife, Catherine, Princess of Wales. So it's difficult to see what the royal family can do. In the past, Prince William, who we see there, did sue a French magazine that published pictures of his wife sunbathing topless, and he won that case. And of course, Prince Harry has more than one case against British newspaper groups in the British courts for invasion of privacy and other civil offences, which he alleges, and those two cases are ongoing. And Cameron and I have been covering them quite extensively in the past, and I'm sure we will in the future. So apart from issuing a sort of statement along the lines of other recollections may vary, it's difficult to know how the royal family should respond. Traditionally, they would say nothing. I think there's a strong case for keeping stum on this occasion. Silence is golden.
I mean, it's understood, we found out last night, Michael, that Buckingham Palace are considering all options, but what they failed to be drawn in on was, action against who? Is it Omid Scobie, the author of the book? Is it the Dutch publisher for publishing those two names? Or is it the well-known television personality who first said those names on British television a couple of nights ago? So it's hard to see exactly the kind of action they would be taking against who.
Yeah, exactly. In Holland, it was either an honest mistake, which is one thing, or it was a publicity stunt to sell more copies of this vituperative volume. We don't know. I think it would be quite unusual for anyone or the British royal family to take action against the Dutch publisher. And the translator of that, she's come out and said very clearly that the names that we all both know, were in the text that she was asked to translate, and all she did was simply translate them. So everything else has been sort of fluff and flurry thereafter, trying to explain it. Here, it's very, very difficult to see what the royal family can do. I actually think, if I were advising, and that's not a possibility, of course, that it's much better to let commentators, honest commentators, parse this matter and come to their own conclusions. The British public are not fooled. They make their own decisions very, very clearly. But what would help immensely, Cameron, what would help immensely, Pip, is this. The king's second son is sitting in California on his hilltop. He should come in now and distance himself from this poisonous book and make sure that he repudiates its content, because it all revolves around him and his wife, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. And it all started in 2021 in that interview that she gave to Oprah Winfrey, when she said that when she was pregnant with Prince Archie, what happened was that somebody in the royal family, unnamed by her, raised the question of what colour of the skin of the baby would be. And Oprah, if you remember, did a rather stagey pause, and her jaw dropped, and she said, "What?" And it went on from there. And then Prince Harry, who we see there coming out of the church of Sandringham, he then joined the conversation. And I thought he looked very uneasy. I won't say embarrassed, but uneasy. And he said, I will never talk about that conversation. And when he was asked about it by Tom Bradby of ITN, he said he wasn't alleging, they were not alleging racism and so on. So if that is his position, that they are not alleging racism among members of his family, the family that nurtured him, brought him up, and made him a prince of the blood royal, he should come out now. That would be the clearest indication of their disdain for this book.
And how do you think this will have affected royal relations? Because it was only a few days ago that we heard that maybe there was a little bit of healing being done between Prince Harry and his father, King Charles.
Well, Pip, I'll tell you something about men, that men can put up with having insults thrown at them. My goodness, I'm a world champion at that. I've been insulted by experts. But men hate their wives being insulted. And Prince William will be very, very upset at his wife, who is an absolutely brilliant Princess of Wales, in my opinion. If you went to central casting and you asked for a Princess of Wales, you'd come up with somebody as brilliant as Catherine Middleton, the Princess of Wales, who looks good, sounds good, and does tremendous good work. Prince William will be very, very hurt. His wife has been attacked, and that attack has come somehow from his brother's camp, as seen through the prism of Sussex's Scobie, who denies that he's a mouthpiece or a megaphone.
Yeah, he's denying that it's a publicity stunt, isn't he? So you don't think there'll be any big family gathering at Sandringham this Christmas? Certainly not this Christmas, Michael.
I think you can go down to the betting shop and you can bet against that. I think it's going to be a very hot day in February before we're going to see those two brothers together again. And it's understandable. But, you know, I come back to this. I come back to the much missed by us all, but me especially, Princess Diana. She would be absolutely devastated to know that her two sons, who she thought and brought up to be brothers, to be there for each other, would ever be at loggerheads like this. Yeah. It's a terrible thing. And that's the dreadful thing about this charge of racism. It's pernicious. It's easy to make, but it's very hard to refute because you have to prove a negative. It's cruel, it's unkind, it's unnecessary.
And Michael, there is not a scintilla of evidence for it at the moment.
That's absolute. That's the truth. So, you have said it in one.
Yeah. Michael, really appreciate you talking to us this morning. As always, thank you so much.